you got to understand we're just getting started here. I mean, the California battery, as I said, is 1,200 megawatt hours. Until recently, we were installing maybe 200 megawatt hours in the whole country a year. Okay, so, a lot of utilities have been experimenting this on a much smaller scale. But they're big. I've not seen the California battery because, ironically, it's built in the powerhouse of an old gas-fired power plant that they tore down, which used to stabilize the grid. But there's a cruel irony there.
Yeah, it's sort of ironic, anyway, yeah.
The Australian job is outside because it never rains. And basically, in general, these batteries come in what looks like a tractor-trailer. I mean, the tractor-trailer, the whole trailer thing, that's the battery.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one unit. I think the Tesla job in Australia had about 10 of those. Okay, and since the California job is 10 times bigger, I'm going to say there's something like 100 tractor trailers full of battery components. My understanding is they have the California one. They've released some information that says it's something like 99,000 modules.
Oh wow!
I don't know what a module looks like compared to, say, a car battery, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet, when you think about it, like I said, they're talking 1,200 megawatt hours. And in order to actually back up intermittent power, you would need something like 1,000,000 megawatt hours.
Jeez.
Okay. So scale that up. So let's see. If we have 100 at 1,000, it's going to be 100 million tractor trailers full. And that's just California.
Yeah, that's right. And are they selling it with the idea that this is backing up wind and solar? Is that the
No. This is like the this is actually, we have very little information on this because it's privately owned. The utility didn't buy it, but the utility has got a nice ancillary services contract. And the thing is, if your battery is sitting there ready to spring into action when the wind falters, you can't be selling it out to back, so people can eat.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No, they've got that thing's got to be ready to roll around the clock because you never know when that's going to happen. So no, they say, oh, and we'll do this too, and and if somehow they have something left over or they're sure nothing's going to happen for a few hours, then they can sell off some juice. But by and large, no, those things have to be sitting there ready to fire, and fire big.
Oh, right. Now, what's the price tag? It sounds like it would be pretty high.
Here the numbers are kind of all over the place. Energy Information Administration collects data. They have been showing over the long term an average of about $1,500 a kilowatt hour, which is $1.5 million a megawatt hour, which would price the California battery at just about $1.8 billion.
Jeez. So what if they were?
Believe me, the California ratepayers are paying that. Going to pay that. Yeah.
So it's already incorporated into their prices.
Well, it will be if I don't know what who pays who what when, but yeah, sure. I mean, the people who built that thing are doing it to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not a utility. They're doing it because they expect to make a lot of money. They saw what happened in California in Australia, where the people who built that sucker made a lot of money, stabilizing the grid.
Yeah.
But of course, and those the utility is going to pay, and of course they're going to turn around and charge that to their customers.
Now, if you were to actually have real backup with battery power for California's demand, what would it cost? I mean, it must be trillions. Yeah,
I believe I came up with them for a ballpark figure of $3 trillion. And that's simply by taking the total generation and for 7 days. Because we're used, it's at least in most places in the country, it's perfectly normal to have no wind power for 7 days. Of course, they've got solar. This is just a back-of-the-envelope computation. I'm working on Virginia right now, and I'm doing a much more refined analysis, because if you just take today's electric power generation and multiply it out, and take 7 days of that and multiply it by 1.5 million a megawatt hour, you get $3 trillion. But they're also they're going to convert all the cars and trucks to electricity.
Oh, so it'd be even more.
That's going to jack it up about at least about 50%. So making $4.5 trillion.
Oh,
They also, at least in New York, I don't know about California, in New York, they're going to try to phase out gas and gas home heating, gas and fuel oil home heating, and building heating, and that's going to be probably another $1 trillion. And then, in addition, to top it all off, people tell me that, well, I use 7 days because 7 days is 7 days of low wind is common. But actually, you can get a lot more than that. You can get a lot longer than that. So let's say that $3 trillion is a lowball estimate.
Jeez,
and of course, nobody's going to pay that. It can't be done. That's why all wind and nuclear, 100% renewable, can't be done, because we simply can't afford the storage.
Yeah. Now, just shifting gears a little bit, I heard of a study recently in which Harvard, who are actually thinking we should be reducing carbon dioxide, and, generally, I understand we're promoting wind turbines. However, they calculated that to give America its complete electricity needs by wind turbines, it would require a third of the area of the whole continental United States. Is that realistic?
I haven't seen that study. That sounds high to me, but it is. We are talking about, I think my colleague Paul Dreisen has actually done a calculation of the number of turbines it would take, and it is around 1 million or something like that. And they do take a lot of space. In a sense they do, in a sense they don't. What they do in a lot of places is they lease the space in a farm in fields, and put these things in, and they're still using the field. So it's not like all that land is gone.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind having those things in the middle of your field. So I don't know. That's a fun number. It would certainly see. Another thing about wind, which has nothing to do with storage, actually it does. There's just a lot of time when you're not getting very much power in any given place. What people don't know and aren't being told is that in order to get full power out of a standard wind turbine, you need a sustained wind of 33 miles an hour.
Okay.
Now, there aren't very many places in the world where there is a sustained wind of 33 miles an hour very often. And here where I am, we never have a sustained wind of 33 miles. We're having 40-mile-an-hour gusts today, but those are just gusts.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why your typical wind turbine assembly, your typical wind farm only puts out about a third of the power that it's rated for.
Okay.
Because most of the time it doesn't put out full power, and sometimes it doesn't put out any power, like for a week at a time. You look at that and you start saying, how many do we need then? And where are they? People talk about the supergrid, where we're going to build enough wind turbines in the northwest and the southwest and the northeast and the southeast, each set able to supply the whole country or something like that. Imagine the power lines.
Oh, yeah.
And the number of turbines.
Yeah.
So, the Harvard study might be high, but actually the number is clearly would be astronomical.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the push for wind and solar is being driven by the climate scare, the idea that we're causing dangerous climate change with our CO2 emissions. What do you think of that theory?
Well, I think that's false. Okay. In fact, if I've written about this, if you look at the satellite temperature records, the only warming that's occurred since they've been around, since 1979, has actually occurred in a couple of steps that are coincident with Super El Nino. So it doesn't look like there's even any CO2 warming. Of course, that's a fairly controversial view. But let me back up and say something else. a lot of the push, sure, there's a political push, but the utilities are going gangbusters for wind and solar for the simple reason that they're making a fortune building this stuff and buying it. Okay,
right.
They're rebuilding their asset bases. Their asset bases were these enormous number of coal-fired power plants we built in the mid-'70s. Well, they're all fully depreciated. And besides, they were built in $1975, which today aren't worth very much. The same dollar. So these guys, Excel out in Colorado really started it. They said, hey, we love wind. And they built $2 billion worth of wind farms and all. And, of course, they got paid not only for them, but they get a guaranteed profit on top of them.
Right.
Okay. So the more they spend, the more, as long as it's approved, as long as the politicians want it, the more they spend, the more they make. Excel's stock went through the roof, and I think every other utility in the country saw that. And now they're all, yeah, let's build a lot of wind.
Wow, so they're not going to oppose the climate scare.
Yeah, the climate scare is what's got the politicians going, but the utilities are now pushing them because they can make so much money out of this.
Jeez, that's crazy. So do you think that Biden's going to continue the climate scare and his push for so-called green energy all through his 4-year term, or do you think he's going to wake up and say, whoa, this isn't working?
I have no idea. I mean, certainly the people that he seems to be listening to and the people who are writing his policy papers and are fanatics. Okay, but Biden is he's a skilled politician, and you'll notice what's happening right now with the oil and gas thing. He's getting some very serious pushback about putting that industry out of business.
Right.
So he may slow down. I'm not as concerned even about that because, to get anything major through the Senate is going to be extremely difficult because they'll filibuster it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Biden doesn't really have the political backing that he would need to do the things that he's talking about doing. I have a very hard time seeing him come up with $2 trillion or coming up with the money to pay for 500,000 charging stations or things like that.
Oh, right. Now,
I don't think it's that. I think there's going to be a lot of resistance. It's clear that there's a lot of polarity. I mean, 75 million people voted for Trump, and they think that most of them think that the climate change thing is a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to have the runaway. We're seeing a lot of, in my mind, too many articles actually about how we're about to be destroyed. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. The president doesn't have that kind of power, thankfully. I like to point that out. We designed our system specifically for that reason, under the principle of no kings. Our president is not the prime minister. He's not even a member of parliament.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in Canada, our prime minister is practically a dictator for the term that he has.
Yeah, because he's the president and the head of Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
we don't have that. We didn't want it because we didn't like it. Yeah,
well, we're seeing the troubles with that approach, with the approach we have.
Yeah. You don't have the checks and balances we do.
Yeah.
So,
now,
so I'm hoping that to some extent Biden's going to get checked and balanced.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, if you were to lay out the ideal energy mix for the United States, if you assume that coal and everything was all still available, what would you promote?
Well, by the way, coal is not only still available, it's still we're still using a great deal of it. The notion that coal has been killed is just wrong. At the high point, we were burning 1 billion tons of coal a year. We're now burning 600 million tons of coal a year, okay, which is still a heck of a lot of coal. I would like to point out, however, as an aside, that China now is generating more electricity from coal than the United States generates from all sources.
Wow.
Okay. China is about to get to the point where they're generating twice as much electricity as we are, which to me means their economy is in very good shape. So what would the right mix be? I don't know. I believe in letting markets make these decisions. Unfortunately, the government has decided that they're going to make these decisions.
Yeah.
We should have a bunch of coal. We should have a bunch of gas. We should have a bunch of nuclear. There are places where wind and solar might make sense, certainly in the Southwest, where the sun shines all the time, the solar might